My brother Knights, thank you so much for being here at your district mid-year meeting. I hope the time that you spend with your district deputy, your district warden, and your fellow council leaders proves to be invigorating and motivating as we continue the great work of rising up and sharing God's joy through our involvement in the Knights of Columbus. I'd like to begin with some remarks that I shared at the state mid-year meeting, which was held this past December in West Des Moines. We had a number of council leaders attend, so they heard this in person, but I'd like to share the remarks with you as well. There's a popular saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. There's been a rising tide since the Second Vatican Council. The council opened the floodgates for lay involvement and lay leadership in our church. The Knights of Columbus, of course, has been there at every step of the way, in solidarity with our priests, our bishops, and at times even our popes. As an order, we have nearly doubled the size of ourselves since the 20th century, and in recent years have exponentially increased our charity. There's another tide, a tide that is unfortunately no longer rising. In fact, it is a tide that is receding, and is receding fast. And as the tide retreats, it's pulling much of what we love out to sea. We can see what's happening. It's quite hard to ignore. Over the last 50 years, over 26 million Americans have left the Catholic faith. In the past several decades alone, baptisms have fallen by nearly 40%. Sacramental marriages have plummeted by 2/3. The number of Catholics who attend Mass every week has dropped from more than just half to just over 20%. Approximately 4 out of every 10 born and raised Catholics no longer identify themselves as Catholic. For every person that converts to Catholicism, 7 leave. And this year marked the first time in history that a majority of Hispanics in the United States no longer identifies as Catholics. Although the recent scandals have contributed to this trend, the involvement of Catholics in our churches, usually measured by attendance at Mass, has been declining for many decades. This is a crisis for our church. This is a crisis for Catholic families, and we are not talking about abstractions here. We're talking about our parishes, our communities, our families, and the families of our friends. And this means that this is a crisis for our order. The hard reality is this: the Knights of Columbus is not immune from these trends. You know as well as I do that we are finding it harder to recruit men, especially younger men. While here in Iowa we have and will continue to find more men and invite them to be part of our great works, in other places throughout the United States, this is no longer the case. This trend makes clear that our long-term future is far from secure, both as a church and as an order. We cannot expect that someone else will come in and make everything right. We, the Knights of Columbus, are the strong right arm of the church. The challenges are too great. You and I have a responsibility. We have to step up, and we have to act now. So I shared those remarks with our state leadership as a precursor to our meetings. We had a great time in West Des Moines. Maybe you saw some of the pictures on Facebook. We enshrined 7 Brother Knights into our Hall of Fame. We had a wonderful Christmas party. Your state officers took a dip in the Raccoon River early Sunday morning at a balmy 8 degrees. Yours truly took the plunge, not because of my heroicism, but because of my clumsiness. But nonetheless, we raised over $3,000 for Special Olympics Iowa. Thank you so much for those watching this that contributed. I also shared at our mid-year meeting another change that hopefully will help to welcome Brother Knights into our beloved order. And that change is that of our ceremonials. As I remarked to the state leadership, early in 2020, we will offer a new exemplification ceremony. This ceremony is rooted in our past, and it is tailored to our present. It should inspire more men to join us, and most of all, it will empower the Knights of Columbus to advance our mission and to grow in the years ahead. Now, before I explain about the new ceremonial, and I know you will have questions, I know that your district deputy will explain more in this meeting, let me address the why. The current degrees are the product of the late 19th century. At that time, the Knights of Columbus competed with other fraternal societies. In those days, men wanted secrecy. They also wanted the sense of progression that came with multiple degrees. That's why our founders and first members initially created a system of 2 ceremonies. Over time, a third and a fourth were added. The ideal of a journey through knighthood, in which men progress from one degree to the next, was meant to encourage greater participation in the activities of our order. It was meant to inspire men to seek leadership roles in our local council, and for a long time it worked well. But the men of today are not the men of the 1880s or even the 1980s. In recent decades, we have found it harder to bring men in, especially young fathers, into the order. When we ask them why, they tell us 3 ceremonies, too time consuming. Oftentimes it's too difficult to attend. Secrecy is no longer necessary, and for many, it is now an impediment to join the order. Many local councils, as we know, lack ceremonial teams or the manpower to organize degrees at a time frame conducive to that man who wants to join. So what does this mean? This means candidates wait far too long to fully join our ranks. Some give up, and too many never take their second and third degrees. Last year, a little more than half of the men who took their first degree went on to take their second and third. Now, with aging ceremonial teams, with the lack of ceremonial teams, this statistic will not improve in the coming decades. Today, our current system is often a stumbling block and not a gateway to membership. According to the vision of Father McGivney and the first members, our ceremonials have always been an essential way we teach the principles of charity, unity, and fraternity. But as our statistics show, too many of our men never are introduced to the principles of unity and fraternity. The current inability of our system to reach so many brother knights and to teach them those lessons must have an impact on the character, the activity, and the very life of our local councils. All of this threatens the order, and you and I have a responsibility to act. So our new ceremonial will be one that offers our principles in a clear and convincing way that explains why charity, unity, and fraternity can come together to form a Catholic way of life for today's man and his family. In the next few weeks, your council leadership, Grand Knight or in Financial Secretary, will receive the printed ceremonial books. There will be a transition period. We're not doing this just cold turkey where we're going to shut off the classic ceremonies that we've seen for many years. There will be that time, and we will communicate when we begin the transition from the classic ceremony to the exemplification of charity, unity, and fraternity. The goal is to get councils, get you more excited once you see the new ceremony, and then implement it within your local council. That's our goal. So for the time being, continue to use the classic ceremonies. Continue to advance your brothers into the principles of unity and fraternity. When you do receive the new exemplification, take a look at the DVD, walk through it, discuss it at a council meeting, see how this can be best suited to your council. I think once you see it, I know once you see it, you will see the benefits of being able to have one ceremony that gives that proper introduction to our order, our history, and the principles of charity, unity, and fraternity. in a manner that our wives and our families would be proud of, to know that their husband, their father, their child has just stood up and said, yes, I will be a Knight of Columbus. Yes, I will be in defense of our church. Yes, I will put my faith into action, building myself up spiritually through the activities of faith, family, life, and community. And I will share that with others. That's the Knight of Columbus we are building today. And I expect that your leadership and mine will be what it takes to deliver on that promise. My brother Knights, I wish you the very best as you spend time at your district meeting. Take the resources that you're given, take that council assessment tool, and figure out how to best suit it to your council. If your score was not as great as it should be, how can you, through your activities, through your programming, through your conversations with your local parish priest, help to better your council standing so that come July, when you take this assessment again, your scores are higher. I wish you the very best. Know that we're here for you. Please reach out to us. We don't hear nearly enough from our local councils as to what we can do to help you, how you are going out and doing the work of the order. We want to hear from you. Please send us your pictures, your activities, all the things you do. Please send those to us so we can then turn them around and share with other people the great work that's being done in the name of the Knights of Columbus throughout the state of Iowa. May God bless you and keep you. Vivat Jesus.